Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. The world of entertainment has been turned upside down, and we're just trying to find out how to watch what we want, when we want, whenever we want at CES Las Vegas. I'm Tom Merritt. Brian, why aren't you here?
Doggone it, you tipped my bit. I was going to pretend like I was, but now it won't work. That's right. I mean, I'm right behind you, Tom.
What?
We went in kind of a little bit blind. If you guys remember, we were going to do a short episode just based on, air quotes, whatever the news is at CES. And we thought that there would be about a half hour of it. Tom, if you were to estimate how much news there was, what would that number come in at?
30 minutes.
Whoa, doggone it. So close to a half an hour.
Yeah, just a little shy. We shall, however, start with the supply run.
Supply run.
So, I know this is supposed to be about CES, but companies keep making unrelated news that falls into the world of cord killing. So our supply run is going to be about a story we have followed closely on Cordkillers. Disney, Warner, and Fox teaming up to make the sports streaming service Venu. Fubo, a competing streaming service, getting upset that they feel like they're being unfairly charged for the fees for the streaming services from Warner, Fox, and Disney, and therefore suing them in antitrust. That stops Warner, Fox, and Disney from launching Venu, which was supposed to launch with the NFL season. Their court case was supposed to start today, Brian, January 6th. I remember that because I made a joke about how that will be the reason people remember January 6th. And since I made that joke, I was like, oh, I know when that court date is. It's January 6th. It did not happen. The trial has been resolved. Brian, aren't you glad?
You know what? Of all the resolutions to happen on January 6th, this is legitimately would have been my favorite.
They resolved the trial by Disney buying Fubo.
Well, wait, wasn't that Brian's speculative bet? All this sounds like a way to get paid? This is...
I think you were right. In fact, you're more right than what I just said, because Disney actually isn't technically buying Fubo. Fubo and Disney are creating a joint venture that Disney owns 70% of, Fubo still owns 30% of, and the joint venture will combine Hulu plus Live TV and Fubo together. The CEO of Fubo will be the CEO of the joint venture. So, and it will also run Fubo. So essentially, Fubo, the company, is just becoming a paper company that owns 30% of this joint venture that Disney is the majority owner of. So the end result is they kind of own Fubo, but it will be a Hulu plus Live TV, which is their cable replacement service, running the way Fubo did. Fubo's not going away for now. They're going to continue to offer Fubo. In fact, Fubo is getting a whole tier of Disney's sports networks. All of Disney's sports networks, including ESPN Plus, are going to be available on Fubo. Disney is going to help them get the carriage agreements from others out there. There's going to be a $220 million payment from the Venu folks to Fubo, because it's going to take 12 to 18 months for this to close. So Fubo's like, we don't want to go out of business in the meantime. So $220 million from Warner, Fox, and Disney. And then Disney's loaning Fubo another $145 million to get them through the closing period. In the end, that money will go back to Disney, I guess, and they can just pay themselves back. But yeah, that what we've got is exactly what you said. Fubo got paid.
Well, and I wish I could cite some kind of insidery knowledge. It's just that Tom, you'll understand when you're creeping up on 50 like your old boy Brian here. Sometimes courts be full of BS. This is what I've figured out.
The court itself, right? I'm always hasten to correct bad reporting, which is not your fault, but the court was just going to wait and hear what these two said and go, okay, here's what I think is right. The reason they were going to court had nothing to do with right, wrong, or otherwise. It had to do with applying pressure. You're absolutely right, and the pressure worked. Well, and Fubo's getting dollars.
To be honest, I legit this morning, complete side track. You guys know that I've had problems with Spectrum. I legit was thinking about going to small claims court just to get their attention
Just to get
this
yes,
morning.
right? Yeah.
And then randomly, I guess I put it out to the universe, Tom. They're reaching out again about upgrading my service. So we'll see.
Sometimes all you have to do is think about a court case, apparently. That's interesting.
Apparently.
Yeah. So this is also another step on that road to consolidation that I'm always going on about, right? So this is Fubo being taken off the board. It's now a Disney-controlled service. It is now going to be Hulu plus Live TV. At first I thought, does this mean this is the future of Hulu plus Live? Does it become Fubo? Is that Disney's play here? And I still think that's a possibility, but they're going to keep the Hulu name around because they're going to want the on-demand adult content on Disney Plus to be branded as Hulu like it is right now. So I don't know that they want to get rid of that integration, that natural upsale of, well, if you like Hulu content on Disney Plus, you can have it all in an app with live TV. I don't know. I do think it will end up playing a part in the future of Hulu as Disney is in slow motion dismembering Hulu and putting its parts in various places.
Yeah, well, which will be a shame because Hulu is the little brand that shouldn't have but did.
Yeah.
As we talked about, the old heads will remember that Hulu was created as a LOL. Okay, I guess we'll air quotes compete with YouTube to show
we
that
could
it can't
crush
be done.
YouTube with our little finger because our content is so much better. We're not realizing that YouTube and Hulu content were not competing.
Well, and actually, the way I remember it from the time is that there was such a I don't know, a low effort attempt made with Hulu. The same people who were suing YouTube claiming that nobody could beat YouTube with its piracy content. That's why they made Hulu, so that it could fail and they could say, see, but instead Hulu ended up crushing.
I always took it as the networks, because all of the networks, people forget this too, all of the networks were on board with Hulu from the beginning, except CBS, which was not part of Viacom. Viacom was a big part of it, but not CBS. All of those networks thought that the only reason YouTube was popular was because it had pirated video. And that if they put out a version of video that was better run and had all of the content at high resolution and it wasn't broken into parts and all of this, that it would just run YouTube into the ground. They didn't care you're right. They didn't care whether Hulu would succeed or not. It was not a long-term bet. It was just something to show that YouTube can't compete. As I recall, the few times that I talked to people from Hulu, the people who worked at Hulu were like, yeah, we kind of know, they wouldn't say it outright. They're like, yeah, we kind of know what we're here for, but we actually think we have a really good product, and they made it work.
Yeah, they did. Well, congratulations to the brand that is now going to be dissolved.
Do you think it's going to be dissolved? I can't decide.
No,
I could see them saying, Disney plus Hulu stuff, we'll give another name. We'll just make it like grown-up content, Disney adult or something, right? But I don't know what that would be. And Hulu's such a strong brand. I feel like they have to keep it. Hulu plus Live TV could be called something else. I don't think they change it to Fubo, though, because that's a weird name and it's associated directly with sports. And Hulu plus Live TV, I think, appeals to more than just people who want sports. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Disney has a weird hand that it's inheriting because at the end of there are certain moves that are off the table. I suspect that Disney cannot come to mean the adult entertainment, even though I do access, like I go to Disney and I type the word murder to get to only murders in the building. That's not what we think of when we think of Disney. So you have to keep Hulu around as sort of a adults, you're entering grown-up land, sort of like in the theme parks. For a while they had Pleasure Island that was very clearly like, hey, there's a dance club here, there's serving alcohol at this place, and so on. And Hulu serves that purpose now within the Disney ecosystem. I don't know what it does the more when you add too much. I don't know, it feels squeezed right now.
I think that, so we have to think about like what are cable replacement services like YouTube TV, like Hulu plus Live TV. What is their ultimate fate? I think their ultimate fate is that they will be able to have a diminishing number of channels and focus specifically on live events. So maybe the long-term play here is that Most of those live events will be sports. Maybe it just becomes a sports streaming add-on to Disney Plus, and maybe that's called Fubo. I don't know. They've got a pretty good brand at ESPN, though, so I can't imagine them replacing that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, ask people on the street if they know what a Fubo is.
Yeah.
Most of them, you're not going to get anything.
But maybe a Fubo successor to Hulu Plus Live TV that's sports-oriented is just called ESPN Pluser.
Like that pluser, double plus ESPN.
Yeah. I don't know.
You do bring up a really interesting point when you mentioned YouTube as a cable replacement. It occurs to me that all of the players have to be side-eyeing each other because their move is going to be partially determined by what the other players do.
Yeah.
It's not like everybody operates in a vacuum. And in fact, this is a great time for all of us to speculate. Hit us up at cordkillers@gmail.com with where you think all these players are going to end up.
If you want to be the person that makes this show happen, you can do two things. There's two things you can do, Brian. You can send me and Brian individually checks for $1 million. And we will devote ourselves to making Cord Killers specifically for you. Or if you don't have $2 million, you know what? I take that back. $3 million. We need $1 million for Amos too. So it's $3 million.
We call this the Howard Stern approach, where we will stop existing in public life, but we will serve
you.
We will give up all cultural relevance in exchange.
There is an alternative if you're like, ooh, I'm a little shy. I was going to do it, but then you added Amos. You can just support us on patreon.com/cordkillers, and it's much more affordable.
Oh, man, not only that, you'll be joining a cadre of people who've kept us loud, live, and independent for over a decade now. Do you know how long a decade is? It's a long time, I can tell you that.
No one knows.
Plus, you get exclusive patron benefits. You get early access to the full experience, which will be back next week, and exclusive access to the After Talk and the court. It's spoiler-in time.
My gosh, folks. And you could feel like a millionaire. Because you're doing the alternative option to giving us $1 million.
You know what? To be honest, looks left, looks right. We'd prefer it. So you'd be better than a millionaire if you joined us over at patreon.com/cordkillers.
Let's get on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Eileen and I have not watched a Chinese drama in a long time, Brian. Did you know? I think I mentioned some Chinese dramas in the Buried Treasure segment before.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there was that whole thing where people were calling him Winnie the Pooh, and he didn't like that. A lot of drama.
Yeah, that was not one of the ones we talked about on the segment, but you're right. That was a lot of drama. Perhaps I should have included that one. You're right. No, the last one I remember talking about was the one on the bus, where there were like two people on a bus, and then the bus
like
would
a
blow
time
up,
thing.
and they got sent back to the beginning of the time loop, and they had to figure out how to change things. We've also watched a lot of what's called wuxia, which are just kind of medieval era, emperors and their lieutenants and romance. We're watching one called Blossom, and it really it's got a good mystery because it combines the elements of both of those things. It starts with a woman who is in a arranged but loveless marriage, and a guy who is rebelling against the emperor, getting shot with arrows as they're both cross paths, accidentally trying to escape. A third person who's a monk gives them a book called Chronicles of the World, and the woman finds herself back in time when she was young, before her mom was murdered. She now knows who the murderer was, right? Because she's lived long enough to figure it out. She has the book, which tells her other things that are going to happen. And so she goes about trying to change things, first so that her mother doesn't get killed, and second so that, the rebellion doesn't happen. But the best part about this, Brian, and what I love, especially because it's a mainland Chinese drama, she becomes a very successful business person.
Is this in revenge or?
No, it's so she can fund all of her schemes and have power to be able to change things because she knows what's going to happen. So she's like, she goes and finds potatoes, and she's like, yeah, nobody knows about potatoes yet. I'm going to corner the market on potatoes. And she starts promoting potatoes everywhere in China. Like, y'all ever see these potatoes? These are great.
I've run this thought experiment countless times, and I don't know why. I think I first had the idea in second grade, so I always go back to 1982 in second grade, and I think about all like the first thing I think is like, okay, first thing that's going to be really tough is explaining that I'm an adult, intelligent person in the body of a second grader, and then all the moves I can make going back forward.
Right. The potato thing just blew me away. It's really well written and really well shot. It's beautifully shot. But the potato thing was so awesome because it's a few episodes in, and there's a ship where a murder has occurred, and it's being impounded. And so she's kind of looking around in the ship with someone who's let her on the ship, and she sees the potatoes, and she knows that they're just going to let them molder, and they've already started to sprout. So she's like, she buys them for cheap. And then she makes potato chips and serves them to a guy to convince him to lend her the money to start a potato farm. And he's like, these are amazing. Like, and he's eating potato chips.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It is called Blossom, and it is available on Viki. Do you have any buried treasures to talk about this time?
You know what? Yes, Silo is so good. I
so
ended up
good, yeah.
rewatching. Originally, it was just for one scene. It was the bridge construction scene in the first episode of season 2. I was trying to get the kids into it, and now I've successfully. We're still getting caught up. Hopefully, I'll be all the way caught up in time for us to talk about it next week. But I do want to give shouts out. I did watch the first episode of The Penguin, and it's amazing. It's
The Penguin,
amazing.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
It's amazing. And in fact, I'll hold off if you want to join me. I've watched the first episode twice now, and I can't stop thinking about how perfectly constructed, because I did not want to get started in it.
Yeah.
But it begins with a gift and just keeps on giving.
Huh. And what service is the
That's
Penguin on?
HBO Max.
It's on Max. Okay, that's what I thought. Fantastic. If you've got something we should be on the look for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, it's your turn to tell folks about something else you got going on.
I thought you wanted me to report from the floor at CES.
It's your turn since you're here.
You know what? Here's where I'm going to plug this time. Those of you guys watching the video right now, you can see that we got a brand new lighting set up. You'll see that there's the Founders Day plaque behind me. That's because we're setting everything up in the podcast studio. I got 4 robot cams, and if you want to watch me discover in real time how to use all of this stuff, how to do live switching, I'm trying to consolidate the entire production pipeline for the Modern Rogue into yours truly. It's actually, you ever see The Martian? You ever see Castaway? You ever see Robinson Crusoe? It's one guy trying to figure everything out, and not everything works out. It's a slow motion train wreck of a drama, and it's happening on the Modern Rogue live stream, happening, I don't know, every other day.
Fantastic. And involves potatoes? Because it's like The Martian?
Oh, that's right. There is the potato crossover. Good point.
Fantastic. Well, folks, it is time now to scan the horizon.
Send scanning to abort.
Scanning the horizon!
Thought when you looked at this file before downloading it, as we know you all do individually and manually, wow, that file size is a little smaller. It's because I'm at CES, and so we're focusing on just the Cordkiller related announcements from CES, and one of them is LG's new lineup of TVs, bringing faster refresh rates all the way up to 165 hertz for that buttery smooth gameplay. That's on their G5 line. But the attention is all on the AI. That is the running joke at CES, that there's AI in everything. But LG has renamed its Magic Remote its AI Remote, and it has a mic button now. So you can talk to the large language model inside the LG TV and say things like, can you play Silo? And it will automatically launch Apple TV and go to your next episode of Silo and all of that. They also say it includes Microsoft Copilot, but they didn't say what Copilot was doing, so I'm not sure what to do with that information other than say it's in there. I don't know if it's the thing running their Magic Remote, or I'm sorry, AI Remote's large language model or not. They didn't say.
So almost all of these announcements, because I've been peeking from the sidelines, I saw some AR glasses or little heads-up display glasses or whatever that claim to be AI enabled, and then you read the fine print, and very clearly, it's about as AI enabled as this microphone is, insofar as I can use this microphone to ask the computer to be AI for a minute. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that Copilot is just like, congrats, you have a wireless microphone in the shape of a remote control that'll talk to Copilot. And then you could say, watch Silo, and it'll say, there are many reasons you would want to watch Silo. Silo is a series on Apple TV Plus. You're like, great. And they're like, before continuing to Silo, have you considered watching Silo?
Yes, I would like to watch Silo. I suggested a filter on DTNS today that if you hear that there's AI in something, and it's nothing more than uses a large language model to execute something, you can forget it. It doesn't actually have AI in it. It's just using AI, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of filter out like what's actually new in these things from other things.
I mean, I suppose if you're going to translate all of that, just shorten it down to less hunting for buttons. As best I can tell, that is the killer feature of AI writ large is if you find yourself hunting for a button, now you don't have to. You just say, where's the button?
And you can describe, yes, you can ask the AI where the button is and it will give you detailed instructions.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we also got Samsung with its line of television announcements, different than LG's announcement. Samsung announced not the AI remote, but VisionAI. VisionAI will optimize your picture and your sound quality. There's upgrades to AI upscaling, Auto HDR Remastering, Adaptive Sound Pro, a new feature called Color Booster Pro. You can also identify things on the screen with the click of a button on the Solar Cell Remote, which stays named Solar Cell Remote. And it will be able to tell you things like how to make the food that's in the video that you're watching. So it can send a recipe to Samsung Food, for example. Samsung also said it has Microsoft Copilot involved in its TVs. Also did not say what that meant. So you take that for what it's worth. But I don't know. I don't know if I just read more on Samsung, but it sounded like it had better examples for its use of AI anyway than LG did.
Certainly the upscaling is encouraging because in the video production world, Topaz AI is sort of one of the gold standards for upscaling and making things prettier. And I believe the tech that is running now is maybe 2 years old, and it's still astonishingly good. So with as fast as this space is emerging, I'm certain that increasingly garbage video will look incredible, if not a bit plasticky. We'll see.
Yeah. There's also, no doubt that this is the winning of X-ray, basically. Like you don't need X-ray anymore. You don't need to tap a remote anymore. You can just say, who's that? And these TVs will be able to say, oh, well, that is Nicole Carrico or whoever it is. I don't know why I picked her. No one knows who she is, but I do. You
know what's funny is because we're watching Silo for reasons I'll not say for spoilers. There's a character, and I'm like, I know that guy. Who's that actor? And it was Steve Zahn, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I went down a quick IMDb rabbit hole.
That's
I'm like,
a good example.
yeah, I think I like everything Steve Zahn is in. I think he might be one of my favorite actors now.
Yeah, you can say with these kinds of things, who is that? It'll say Steve Zahn, and you can be like, what else has he been in? You could even, if you use these exclusively, say, what else has he been in that I've watched? Because they can access your viewing history. Not everybody's going to be using these exclusively, but it's got the possibility for that. Also, we've got newer Google TVs with Gemini. Gemini is Google's AI system. They already had it in Google TV Streamer, their little streaming box, but it is now coming to Google TV. So TVs with the Google TV operating system can take advantage of Gemini. Think of all the examples we've given for LG and Samsung, and that works for Google TV as well. However, Brian, they are also building new Google TVs with far-field microphones so that you don't have to find the remote and press the button. You can just talk wherever you are because it's got the far-field microphone. It will hear you as well as any Amazon Echo does.
That is getting shockingly reliable. It's really amazing. Also, I do love the fact that despite all of its excellent engineering prowess, Google continues to bat 100 when it comes to names. Like they just constantly change names until one sticks, and now it's Gemini.
Gemini is the one. Yeah. You also may be forgiven for not remembering that TiVo has an operating system platform. Shockingly, this announcement doesn't involve AI. TiVo OS launched in Europe last year and is now coming to the US as soon as February, and some TVs from Sharp. TiVo's big positioning statement is, we're the neutral OS. We let the manufacturer use our operating system however they want. When you sign up for Google TV or Roku or even Amazon Fire TV, you're agreeing to a bunch of their restrictions on how the operating system is implemented, because Roku and Google and Amazon all want to make money off of their operating systems through ads and other things. TiVo is not doing that. TiVo is being just a wholesaler. Like, we'll give you the TiVo OS. There are minimal restrictions. You can implement it the way you want to.
So, Tom, 2 years ago, I would have said that this was a weak hand to play, because I would have pointed out that nobody values that content neutrality, or that, you could say words about selling information or ads and it wouldn't really resonate. But tell me if you like this. My new theory is, because of the pricing structure that OpenAI is creating, and OpenAI just dropped a new Chrome plugin where ChatGPT becomes your default browser, and it is a totally ad-free browsing experience. I'm willing to wager that now that people, they much like Amazon slipped into becoming a content distribution and production company when they're a logistics company, likewise, an AI company is becoming the #1 search engine. And I think when people get a taste of the ad-free experience, I think a lot of people are about to understand on a visceral level that they would rather pay more and not begin that slow descent into madness that comes with ad-supported anythings.
Yeah. To keep it clear, TiVo isn't even selling the ads. They're just like, if you're the maker of the TV, you decide whether you want to sell ads in it or not.
Correct. But
Right.
what I'm saying is that concept of neutrality and of not having information trading interests.
And I should also point out that the TiVo OS can do personalized recommendations. It can do voice control for your TVs. It has a lot of these things that the other operating systems do on the AI personalization front, but they let the manufacturer decide whether to opt for them or not. So not every TV that comes with TiVo OS is going to have the same features either.
This is the new segment of the show I like to call Walkbacks, where Brian and Tom say things, realizing that then they predict the emails that are going to come in, and they immediately clarify the things that they just said.
But that doesn't mean that, ... Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Well, there you go. That is so far, and there'll be more things at CES. There's probably things that came out while we were talking about, but we will have more of that next week's show. But that keeps us up to date for now. Let's get to the chatter.
Got mail.
Email from Tim Jar, who says, you know what? You guys blew me away with how good this new Killies format was. Usually I find myself wishing I could skip to the next discussion topic/show, sometimes because it's something I don't want spoiled. Sometimes it's just a show I don't care about. Sometimes it just goes on a bit long. But I enjoyed this to the end, when many years I haven't even made it to the end. Huzzah!
I'm not going to lie, Tom. That was a little bit of a stroke of genius. And like all great genius moves, it seems obvious in retrospect that the Killies would be more fun if there was any mystery to it. Even if it was even if it was fairly obvious which of the 4 options were going to be the winner, the mere fact that you weren't 100% sure made it a lot of fun.
I thought maybe Matlock had a chance to win Best K-Drama, but I was wrong. And Tim Jar, thank you for your honest opinions always. And I'm really glad that you enjoyed the new format. I think we'll keep it. Also got a very long and thoughtful email from Yaru about Jim Carrey coming back to the Sonic movie.
Yeah, he says that narratively that didn't leave a lot. I had made an offhanded comment that I'd read an article saying that he was retiring, and now that he's out of retirement, he's probably going to do a bunch of these to make more money. Yaru correctly pointed out that narratively they closed the loop on that character, so there's not a reason for him to come back. And more importantly, Yaru didn't put much stock in that retirement thing to begin with, since the announcement was made on, drumroll please, April 1st.
Ah, there we go. And finally, JW says, I thought Amos might be interested in some changes coming to NASCAR in 2025. In 2024, fans could watch races on Fox in the first half of the season and NBC in the second half. Trucks were on Fox FS1 all season. Xfinity and Cup Fox in the first half. Fox in the first half, NBC in the second. And Cup Fox in the first half, NBC in the second. In 2025, there's going to be a lot of changes, and not all of them for the better. Xfinity moves their full season to the CW. This could actually be a good thing. Free over the air for the entire season is a huge upgrade. Sadly, there's rumblings that CW may not have a live booth at the track for all the races. That'd be a huge downgrade in coverage. Fingers crossed they listen to fans objecting to this possibility. Trucks will continue to be on Fox for the full season. No big changes to that deal. Big changes in Cup. Fox will have the Cup races for the first part of the season, but practice and qualifying will only be on Amazon Prime for the first half of the season. Starting on May 25th, coverage moves for 5 races to Amazon Prime exclusively. NBC takes over Cup coverage starting August 3rd on USA and wraps up the rest of the Cup for the season. Now for the bad news. If you use the NASCAR mobile app for a second screen experience, you likely enjoy pausing the in-car spotter and audio to sync up with the broadcast. That functional pause button for in-car audio was a huge upgrade a few years back. Then you can switch to the live in-car video inside the NASCAR app during commercials without losing the audio sync with the broadcast. Starting in 2025, in-car video will only be available exclusively on Max for the whole season. There's more in here too, Amos. I don't know if there's anything else that I should add.
We got very long, very thoughtful emails this week, and we love every single one of them. Cordkillers@gmail.com.
Yep, that wraps it up from CES. Brian, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm sorry, I'm about to be I got tased at CES.
Oh, our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live at twitch.tv/nightattack Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.